Hello and welcome to Odoo Live. My name is Noel, Community Manager here at Odoo San Francisco. Today I'm joined by Danny, one of our Customer Success Managers, to talk about Helpdesk in Odoo and how to drive customer satisfaction with Odoo Helpdesk. So welcome, Danny.
Thank you, Noel. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us. And like Noel said, my name is Danny. I am part of the Customer Success team. I am a Customer Success Manager, and today I'll be your guide through the wonderful trip of Helpdesk. And we'll go through a whole bunch of little details together. And also, if you have any questions in the meantime, reach out. And also, my email is right there. You can check. You can send me an email whenever you like regarding questions or anything that we might address today.
Exactly. So don't forget, always leave us your questions in the chat. We will answer them at the end during our Q&A session. And additionally, as Danny mentioned, you can always send us an email. We are at webinars@odoo.com, or to get in touch with Danny directly, you can see his contact information right there. So with all that being said, go ahead and take it away, Danny.
Perfect. Okay, so guys, what we're going to do today is we're going to go through a quick demo of an implementation of Helpdesk. Now, Helpdesk is one of our modules or an application that we use in Odoo in order to facilitate and integrate customer satisfaction by managing tickets and managing our team that handles the tickets. So where we're going to go today is taking a look at the application itself, and that way understanding how intuitive it is, how easy it is to set up, and we're going to go through a whole bunch of little details that you're probably going to enjoy. So hang on tight, and again, enjoy. So what we're going to be covering today is Helpdesk, but around Helpdesk, there's actually a lot of modules that work with it. So we're going to use those modules as well, just so you can see how we can extend the benefits of the module itself. So with Helpdesk, we're also going to use Website. Website is going to allow you to build your own website in a very easy manner, and it's going to integrate with Helpdesk so that your tickets can be sent and done through there. Very easy. We're also I'm just going to show you really quick, or go through a quick overview of timesheets, which is another application that can be integrated with Helpdesk and the way we manage the tickets themselves. And last but not least, live chat. So live chat is going to take Helpdesk to the next level. It's going to allow you guys to reach your customers real time, and to also create tickets real time, which is a huge benefit when speaking about customer satisfaction and customer service in general. So without further ado, I'll go into the system and we'll start seeing that. So as you can see, I have a test environment. You guys can all set this up yourselves also. You can follow what I've done here. I already pre-installed some stuff, but it's actually really easy to do. If you go to our website and you start a trial yourself, you can probably set this up very quickly too. But we're going to dive right into Helpdesk. Just before we go into the configuration itself, it's really important to point out a couple of things. First of all, we're on Odoo version 12, the online edition. So be aware of that. Also, I'm logged in as the administrator of this database, and extremely important, and I'm going to probably highlight this a couple of times throughout the presentation, is to activate the developer mode. The developer mode is going to give you access to a whole bunch of additional configuration options that you might not have on a regular basis if you don't. So I'm going to go ahead and activate that, and I'm going to keep that activated throughout the entirety of the presentation. Don't worry, again, since I'm logged in as the administrator, you don't have to worry of all of your users doing the same thing or messing with your own configuration. This is something that is restricted to the administrator, or depends on how you set up the profiles or the access rights for different users themselves. So let's get into Helpdesk. If I get into Helpdesk, I'm going to explain all this in a bit, but before I get into that, I'm going to go into some of the things we have to start out with. So the first thing we have to start out with is we have to create the teams that are going to manage customer support. So as you can see, I already have 2 teams created. I have a customer care team, which is going to be the front line of customer service, and I have an escalations team, which I just have here just so you can see that we work multiple teams at the same time. If you wanted to create another one, it's as easy as doing create. And I'm going to jump in some of the configuration that I have with the customer care team itself. So if I go into customer care, you can see that I already assigned team members. Okay, so these are users that I've created within the database base and that assigned to them as members of the customer care team. So you can easily go ahead and press edit, change the name of the team if you want to. By default, it says customer care. You can use whatever you want. You can also leave a description of what, a brief description of what they do or where they're located or whatever you feel is necessary, convenient. Adding is as easy as just typing in the name of the name that they have in the system, or you can actually go ahead and use this button right here which says create an edit and go ahead and create a new user that can be added automatically or immediately to the team members. In this case, you're going to see that I have the administrator just because I'm going to be running tests on there. Maybe you want administrator in another support team, the escalations maybe, that's probably more convenient. And then I have a customer support advocate 1 and 2, and I have them right there. Now, going into our next option, we have the assignation method. So out of the bat, we can actually play around with how tickets get assigned. We have three options. By it's in manual, which means someone would actually have to manually assign tickets to different customer support advocates or representatives or whatever you want to call them. You can change that to randomly, or you can as balance, which is what we're going to use today. The balance is probably, in my case, this is probably the most convenient one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get tickets and try to balance out the workload with those tickets. So that's probably the one I would recommend the most, if not manual. Maybe it can be a manager in charge of customer service, and he can assign them based on them or different types of ways you can address that. But for example purposes, we're going to leave it as balanced. Then we have the email alias. So here you can actually modify this as well. By default, it says support, so it would be support, and then it has the rest of the URL or the email address that they can reach us out to. Now, this is going to be important, and we're going to see this later on too, how our customers reach out to us by sending an email to that email address, to that alias, and that way the whole team gets notified, or that way it goes to the correct bucket of tickets. So that's something we're going to go into a little bit further. We also have the live chat option. Now, please take into consideration you have to have your live chat application installed for this to work properly. You have to activate those buttons, so remember they have to be active, and this is going to allow us to get in touch with our visitors via the website immediately. And once we go into this topic, we're also going to see that via that chat we have different shortcuts, and one of the most interesting ones in regards to Helpdesk is creating a ticket via the chat, which is pretty cool. And you also have to set up which team is connected to the channel, to the live chat itself. So let's say you have multiple support teams. You can have one of them set up to be the ones that are going to receive those live chats, and those are going to populate for them, and they can reach out to customers that way. So you do have to determine that right here. The next option we're going to go into is the website form. Just by clicking on here, it's automatically going to generate in your website a form so your customers can go ahead and submit their own tickets. Very simple. You just click on that. Once you save, super important, remember to save. Once you save, this is going to populate onto your website and make it extremely easy for your customers to submit their own tickets, and we're also going to go through that. Aside from that, we do have the option, and we're not going to use it today, but we do have the option to use the live chat as an application, as an API, and connect to third-party applications to manage tickets. So you can still use the benefits of live chat and some of the benefits of Helpdesk, even though if you decide not to build your website or use Odoo as the website builder. And we're going to see the website itself, which is, I don't know why you wouldn't, because it's extremely easy to build the website with Odoo. But just for you to know, we do have the option. Here where it says sell and track hours, we do have the option for our team to track the time it takes to handle different tasks, to handle different tickets, and for us to be able to log that. in some instances, it might be useful, maybe not for the general case, but there might be specific needs for different companies to go ahead and charge that or keep track of that, so they can then show that to the customer, especially if it's large customers, or if it ties into trainings or things of that sort. It might be convenient for you to record that time, and you can do that by having the timesheet application installed and by activating this right here. For example purposes today, we're not going to use it because it's a very specific type of situation, and we want to cover a broad scenario that everyone can take advantage of. Aside from that, under the performance, we have our SLA policies, the service level agreements. Now, this is extremely interesting. With the SLA policies, and just by clicking on configure SLA policies, we can go ahead and create different policies on how our tickets are supposed to be handled, our internal rules, you would say, or in this case, internal rules that are also in agreement with the customer. So let's say if we have on our service level agreements, we have that tickets are supposed to be closed or handled or responded within 24 hours. We can easily go into these and we can create or edit different types of scenarios for our service level agreements. Here I already have some that I created myself, but you can make whatever you want. You can just easily click right here where it says create, but since I already have this one, we can edit that. And you're going to see it. You have a lot of different options to play around with that. You can customize the name on it. You can assign it to a different team. So in this case, since we saw we have different teams, it can be assigned to a different team. Priorities, we're going to go into this a bit once we see tickets, and it's going to click how we can set the SLA to different priorities that we have on the tickets, or ticket types, which is something else we're going to see in a bit. And also with the SLAs, we want to make sure that we're not failing with the agreements we have. So we actually have a target to reach a different stage. We can also edit that. We can play around with that, and we're going to see these different stages. So we can have that as a target for the agreement that we have. Then we can put that in a time frame, days, hours. Now in this case, just for example, I had a 1 hour just to make it quicker, but it's actually 1 day. That's in 24 hours, and then I save that. So once we're done with that, and let's go back to our configuration, we also have canned responses. Also very, very easy. Canned responses, what it's going to allow us to do, and this is something we're going to see a little bit more when we go into live chat, it's going to allow us to create shortcuts that can be easily used to address or to respond in a quick manner, especially when there's certain phrases or terms that we use constantly. So instead of having to type those all the time, we can accelerate that by using shortcuts. So here's the one that's here by default, and I'm not going to create another one right now, but I'm going to show you how you can use this one. It's very simple. Also, a pretty cool feature that we have is the rating system. You also have to enable that. But what this is going to allow us to do, it's going to allow us to gather from different ways ratings that our customers have after the interaction they've had with our customer service team. Once we've responded to tickets, once we finished a live chat, we're going to enable our customer to go ahead and give us a rating, which is going to be not happy, neutral, or happy, and then based on that we can actually track performance, and that's going to help us to go ahead and provide feedback to our team and to make sure that our customers are happy all the time. That's a really cool option. Before I move on, another important thing I want to point out here is with working hours. So with the SLA policies, it's extremely important to understand that we have a standard 40 hours per week. That's by default what we have in the system, taking into consideration what is the standard. But you can actually go ahead and click on that, and you can modify that. You can change it completely. I know that some of you might have a 24/7 model, so you can make this accommodate that if you'd like. It's very, very simple. All you have to do is edit here, and you can play around with everything we have on. And you can see that we have leaves if you have to play around with that, or time zones also. So just for you to know that the options are there. You're extremely empowered with this application. We have display rating on customer portal. Now what this does, it practically ties into the rating that we have here, but it gives the customers or anyone visiting the website a view of how that works or what the satisfaction score is. So in case you want to have that, it's is there. We're not going to use it today, but it is also there. And in self-services, this is probably more oriented towards robust products that have to have a lot of documentation or have to have a learning portal. You actually have the options out of the box with Odoo also. We can enable a help center for questions, answers. It's kind of like a forum, you would say, and e-learning to share slides, presentations, and videos. So you also have those options. We're not going to go to it today because we're going to focus primarily on customer service itself, but you do have the options right here. So that's the basics. So remember, every time you check something before you leave, click on save. I've already done it here, so if it's not going to work, it's not your fault, it's just that you haven't saved the changes. So now that we've done that, that's our basics. We already have a team ready to start getting tickets. So in this case, since I'm logged in with the administrator, this part of the dashboard is actually getting customized with the administrator person to having assigned to him. Where it says my tickets, you can see that the administrator has 3 tickets. One of those is a high priority, one of them is a third priority. You can also see that he has different performance measures it's gonna right here you see it as 0, 0, and 0 because we don't have enough historical information. But once you start getting more data in there, once you start getting more tickets, you should see this changing. Also, this is today performance, so you can also, once your customer service team starts working, you're going to be able to see real time how things are going, how many tickets they're closing, based on their ratings, what's their rating from 0 to 10, and what's the success rate. You also have the average 7 days and daily targets. Here in the daily targets, you can actually easily customize that. All you do is double click on that. And this could be used in different ways. It can be a target set by the manager. It could be that the customer support team knows what their own internal goals are so they can improve their monthly averages or things of that sort. So there's different ways to use the tools that you are provided with Odoo, which is pretty helpful. So also down here, what you can see is, you can see that we have both teams that are created, the customer care team and the escalation team. And there's a couple of different things we can do with that. We can change the little borderline color right here. So I can make that blue if I want to. I can make that red if I want to. This is just to make it easier to identify who we're dealing with and which team is which. For today's example purposes, we're going to focus mostly on the customer care team. We're going to leave the escalation team by the side, but the way I would probably recommend is to have your customer care team, and this escalations team would be in case a customer is requesting to speak to a manager or requesting something that the customer care team cannot manage. They can easily send that ticket over or assign that over to the escalations team, and we're going to see how that's done, and that way you can have a clean flow of how things are going. So we're going to jump into the tickets right now. And you're going to see how that looks. It's actually very, very intuitive, very, very visual. This is actually called the Kanban View. And it's going to give you a lot of visual information that you can customize or you can use to help you identify what's going on with the tickets that we're managing. Let's see. Important things to point out is, number 1, each ticket passes by different stages. And that makes complete sense in the general workflow of a ticket. Once a ticket gets created, it goes into this stage that's called new. And once we start working on it, it can be in progress, solved, canceled, or you can go ahead and create other stages. Maybe in your company you have a different stage, which is reviewing it before replying. Maybe there can be a stage called follow-up after you've solved a ticket. So all those things you can do as easily as doing it right there. You see that? Easy. You can just put follow up, and that would be another one. I'm not going to say that right now, but you can see that easily. If you actually wanted to have a more analytical point of view, we actually have a different view that's actually called the list view, and you can see the tickets in a different way, which is not as visually appealing, but for data analysis, this is probably perfect also. So I'm going to go back to our Kanban view. And I'm going to go into, well, first you probably noticed there's a little red here. There's a lot of red here, and there's some green here. Now, what that means is we have different activities planned out throughout our tickets. Those activities might vary in following up, calling, emailing, a to-do activity. So Odoo enables your customer support team to go ahead and plan out those activities. And these lines that you see right here actually give you a summary of what's the status of those scheduled activities. So if it's red, look at that. You can see that one activity is already overdue. Here, also there's one activity overdue. And here we can see that we have one planned activity, okay? So there's actually another color in the middle, which is an orange color. Orange is actually gonna mean the planned activity is for today, okay? So let's jump into one of these tickets. So in these tickets, you're gonna be able to see a whole bunch of data. As you can see right off the bat, we have the SLA information. Remember we saw that before, how we created that? Well, you can see that it gets assigned depending on the criteria that we determined in the SLA configuration. We can also see what team it gets assigned to, what person it gets assigned to, different priorities. This is for internal use. Once a ticket comes in, it's not going to automatically get assigned a priority. This is once you take a read at that, you can probably determine by what's going on, what the priority is. And here the deadline would be predefined depending on the SLA that you already have configured, okay? We have the customer name, his email, what type of ticket, and tags. And I'm gonna go a bit into that once we get into how tickets are submitted one by one. We're gonna see 4 different ways to create tickets, and we're gonna see how easy it is. So also, you can notice that we have all of these tickets open, and some of them are actually in red, and we're gonna go into that too. So, with that being said, before I go into the nit and grit of each and every ticket, I'm going to go into creating a couple of them, okay? So we're gonna see 4 different ways of creating tickets. After each one, you're gonna notice that it's gonna give you a lot of flexibility. It's gonna allow you to do a whole bunch of different things, and some of them are gonna take advantage of different automated actions that we already have predetermined. So let's go ahead and create a ticket. This is probably the easiest way to create a ticket, is just by clicking on create. Now, is it the most convenient one? Well, no, because that's going to be a ticket I'm probably creating for testing purposes. It's not going to be a customer creating a ticket. So I can just say the subject is test, web test, okay? Easy. Here at this point, I can go ahead and determine who I want to assign that to, what team, what person I want to assign within that team. So let's say there. Customer, if we already have people in our contacts, we can easily select someone that we already have saved in our contacts within Odoo. If not, we can actually create someone new. For these purposes, I'm just going to use long test, and that person already had an email attached to them, so it automatically generates. If not, you can enter that yourself also. Type of ticket. Now with type of ticket, you can actually create these yourself also. This is very easy to do, and I can show you different ways to do it. We can do create and edit here, or here in configuration, you can actually create tickets yourself, ticket types. If you want to, we can go into this first, and let's go into that. Okay, so here you can see that I've created 3 ticket types. One is question, issue, and escalation. With the ticket types, it's going to be whatever you want. The sky's the limit, you would say with this. You can go ahead and create over escalations, refunds, and this is going to allow you to have a more robust understanding of what's going on. And it's also going to help you to be able to do data analysis after tickets are done, or after certain periods of time, or every month you can go in, and we're going to see that later on with the reporting, how you can actually use this information for analysis and for improvement of your team. There's also ticket tags, which we're going to see in the ticket itself, but just to go into that really quick, you can create ticket tags, and they're different than ticket types. The tags are going to be created more for searching and for pointing out different things or different topics within the ticket itself. And we're going to use that later with the search function. We can go ahead and discriminate or easily find tickets using those tags that we've created beforehand. So going back, let's go back to our tickets. Let's create that again. So again, let's create a ticket. And again, let's make a test. Test web. Okay. We assigned that. We gave it a priority. We have a customer. We have a type, question. And here are the tags that we've created. So let's say it was a replacement that had to be done. We can easily put that. You can put more than one tag, and they're all going to help you pinpoint this ticket specifically or tickets that are similar to it. Return, refund. And you can put down here what the issue is. General replacement issue. Okay. So at this point, we can go ahead and save that. Now that this is saved, I have an SLA created that's actually a temporary one. It's just I wanted to automate this so you can see it immediately. Once it's saved, if this ticket, the type, the tag, or the priority falls into what we've predetermined on our SLAs, it's going to automatically generate. And it's automatically going to determine a deadline, which is good for your team to know how long they have to start working on this situation. Other cool things you can see here on this page is we have what we call the chatter section. The chatter section is going to allow us to historically track what's been going on. It's also going to allow us to track different types of interactions we've had with the customer or internally. Also, we can add followers to this chatter. That way everyone's on the same page with what's going on. And we're gonna, once we go into a customer example, we're gonna see a little bit more of how this would work in real life. Okay, so now that we have that created, let's look for it. Let's see, what was it called? Test web. Here you go. So now we can see it right there. And we can see here that it's assigned to the administrator. And we're also going to go into these little things a little bit later on. So that's the first way of creating a ticket. And that's more of a testing purposes. And it's good for you to find out how your rules are behaving, how your things are set up, if all your configuration has been done properly. It's good to run a couple of tests with that. So that's the easiest way to go. But now we're going to go into the live environment and we're going to go into the website and we're going to see how that would work. Now to go into the website, very easy. I can go back to our applications and I can go into the website. So here's the website application. On the website application, we can go to the website itself. And here I already have a website built, but just if you're curious about it, and if you want to change anything on it, or if you want to build it yourself from scratch or do whatever you want with it, all you would have to do is click here at edit, and you start getting a ton of options that's going to make it way easier than coding or anything of that sort you would have to do to just easily deploy your website or start doing tests or whatever you feel might help you to get started as soon as possible. Now, other things that are cool that you can see here is based on the information that we already have, you can see that down here we already have the support team's email. We have the name of the company, O Books, in this case is the example that I went with. Outstanding books at an outstanding price. So we're going to see how that would work. And we also have the information. This is the contact phone number for the company itself. And once you've checked the creating form, the on Helpdesk configuration, the system is automatically going to create this link that says help. If one of our customers were to go into help, they would be able to submit a ticket themselves. Now here, it's identifying me as the administrator, and I probably don't want that. So I'm going to show you guys an example in a, where is this? Give me 1 second. And I'm going to show you guys one that's not in the administrator. Let's see. Let me go ahead and create. So there you go. This is how your customer would see it. And here you can see if someone wants to sign in, the administrator or one of the other customer support guys, they can go ahead and do it there. But your customer would see it this way. They would hop on to help. And here we're going to see the second way of submitting a ticket. They can just easily click here where it says submit a ticket, put in their name. In my case, I'm going to put Danny. I'm going to put my email. And I'm going to put my own email just so we can test out how this is working. Let's say item is incomplete. Description, the book I received, the book had pages missing. Sure. Another interesting thing is your customers can go ahead and, if they choose to, they can go ahead and attach files very easily. And this is not something you actually had to code or anything. Once you created the form, once the form was automatically generated, it gives them this option, so they can go ahead and attach whatever they want. Okay, and that would make it very easy. For example purposes, I'm going to get into one of the sample pictures, and I'm going to attach that, and we're going to see that in a bit. So once they're done with that, they go ahead and send that out. Give it a second. And you can see that they get a notification that their ticket was open. They have a ticket number. This ticket number is going to help them identify what their ticket number is if they need to reference that in the future. And it's also going to help because that's generated also internally. So our customer support team is going to be able to look at that too and work on tickets in order of which they come in, first out, or whichever way that feels convenient. So that's one ticket. So that was one customer came in, he had a complaint, pages were missing, so he went ahead and submitted that ticket. That was one type of way to do it. And before I go back and show you these tickets, I'm going to actually show you another ticket, another way to submit a ticket, which is very simple. Let's see. Okay. So remember we said we have a email alias. So look at that. What I'm going to do now is very, very simple. And this is just in case one of our customers doesn't have access to the web page itself, or they find it more convenient to write their own email and get this done through their own email. So they can go ahead and use this email address, and in their own personal email, they can go ahead and send us an email and say, issues with my book. The book I received is not the correct one. Okay. And also they can attach, let me attach a different file this time, another picture, to a koala. Sure. And we're going to send that out. Okay, so once we have that sent out, before we move on and go into the tickets, I'm going to show you another way to send a ticket. So you can see this is very, very versatile, and it covers different types of users, and it covers different types of interactions. Now, this other one that we're going to see, it's a bit fancier. So you're going to have to bear with me just 1 second while I log in again with my administrator. Give me 1 second. And it's going to be using our live chat. Let me log in as one of the members of the customer support team. Okay, so now you can see right here that I'm logged in as one of our customer support members. And this is a must. If we want to use live chat, we have to have someone that can reply to those chats. So we do have to have someone logged in and ready to chat. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to refresh the web page. And you can see down here, and maybe we can we move the image just a little bit right there, just so I can see this. There you go. So what I want you guys to see right here is that now there is a tab that's generated, which is going to enable live chat. All our customer has to do is go ahead and click on that, and they're going to get an automated response okay, by our customer support advocate number 1, which says, how may I help you? Now, on the other hand, once I get something out there and say, hi, let's say, let's send that out. Give it a second. Okay, so visitor said hi, and we're going to see what happens over on the other side. I have to give it a second since I'm using both of them. There you go. So now we have that our customer support advocate is getting in touch live with our customer. Now we can reply, and here's where our canned response comes into play with the hello, how can I help you? And if I use the colon symbol and I put hello, you see how a shortcut the canned response automatically generates? We can press enter on that, enter, and just give it a second. And we're going to see that interaction. Let's just give it 1 second. Sorry about that. Sometimes there's a delay with the back and forth via chat. In this case, because I'm using both profiles. In the meantime, and this happens a lot, in the meantime, our customer can start putting what his issue is, so he can put something like, I have an issue with the payment I made for a book I purchased. Oh, so there you go. You see now it loaded. So it says, hello, how can I help you? And what's going to happen is our visitor is going to send a response. Again, there's some slowness between back and forth here, especially because I'm using both of the roles myself. So there you go. We had that there. And now let's wait until we get this here. And I'm going to show you guys how we can turn an interaction in live chat into a ticket that we can then work on. Okay, and we're going to see then how that behaves and what happened all over the back end, just so we can see how this flows naturally into our pool of tickets and how we can go ahead from there and keep on working on each and every one of the stages and keep in touch with our customer and keep them up to date with what's going on. So let's just give it a second while it loads. Now while that's loading, I'm going to take advantage of this time just so we can go ahead and see some of the shortcuts. So if I use a slash, and this is how intuitive the system is, it's very easy to use. If I just put a slash, the system is going to start giving me suggestions on different shortcuts or different commands that I can use via the chat. Now the one we're going to use right now, it's actually slash helpdesk, but as you can see, we actually have slash help, helpdesk search, history, lead, if you wanted to create, and this is awesome too, you can actually create these live interactions into leads for our sales team, but right now we're just going to use it as a ticket generator. So I'm going to do slash helpdesk, and then following that I'm going to name that ticket, and I'm going to put the live chat ticket. Once I press enter, you're going to be able to see, you give it a second, and you're going to be able to see how our system is automatically going to convert that interaction into a ticket and what message you're going to be getting down here. Okay, so now you can see Odoo bot created a new ticket. So different ways to access that ticket. We can go ahead and just click on there, right, where it says live chat ticket, and it's going to redirect us to that ticket. We can go directly into Helpdesk and search for that ticket, or Odoo also has a pretty cool search function that it's not even a bar on the screen. It's actually just typing in. You can just put tickets, and you can do all tickets right there. Very intuitive. Just in case you get lost, you can just type in what you want to do. I'll use this one right there. So we can see that, and we can go back into our Kanban view. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go through those tickets that we received. Now remember, we received 3 different tickets, and we're going to see how it behaved in the back end. Now before I do that, I probably want to say to this customer, I'm sorry to hear that. I will open a ticket and work on your matter immediately. And we can just finish the interaction. You see, now it was a lot quicker. I can put thanks, bye. And here, once I'm done with the interaction, I can close that. And remember that we activated the ratings configuration. Now the person that was chatting, our visitor, can go ahead and say, this guy was awesome. Let's give him a smiley face. So we give him a smiley face, and now we're done with that interaction. And here we can see that our CSA received a rating, smiley face, which is cool. Now we can close that, and we can go into the tickets. Now, depending on how you have your user set up, you can have them set up in a way where each individual can only see his tickets, which is probably the most appropriate way to have it set up. So to address that, we can log back in as the administrator, or we can work on these tickets depending if one was assigned to this advocate. Okay. So let's look at some of those. Let's see. So we had a live chat ticket, and we can see it right here, and that was assigned to CSA1 because we had already set up a rule that balances out who these get set up to. Now, if we go into that live chat ticket, we're going to see that there is some information that, of course, is missing because it was done through a live chat, and we probably want to get that information before we finish the interaction with our customer. And that way we can edit that on here, and that would be this person's email, okay, and his name. And based on the interaction, we can then determine what type of a situation happened. We can, this was an issue of a payment, so maybe it's a return or a refund or a technical issue, depending on what's going on. And we can assign it a priority. Let's give it a priority 3, and it's already assigned automatically with our rules. We can save that. And again, as you can see, the SLA rule took effect, and it says close issue within 48 hours. Again, that was determined based on all the things that I filled out. It determined that this type of situation falls into the SLA policy that should be closed within 48 hours. Also, you can see that a chatter interaction was generated here. Okay. Now, with the live chat, an important thing to understand is, since you do not have the customer email set up automatically, it's not going to automatically send them an email saying what happened. But in other types of tickets that we're going to see after this one, you're going to see that our customer received an automated reply on different stages, and I'm going to show you how that was set up so that we can keep them notified of what's going on with their ticket. Okay, so let's go to another one now. So here we can see the one that was sent via email, and we're going to see some different types of a different type of situation here that's very similar. The next two are going to be very similar. We can see that on this ticket, the title is the subject of the email that was sent, because this is one that was received via email. We already captured the customer's email address, and we even received the attached file. You can see the koala right here. So Chatter is a very powerful tool that's going to give you this type of information so you can start working on that. Now, there's still some information we'd like to set up, like the priority, the ticket type. So here we have the book I received is not the correct one, so that's an issue. And maybe we have to replace. And then if we want to, we can add a description to that. We also have part of that right here on the Chatter, so we can leave it like that. Also, we have another cool Odoo feature that I like to point out. It's called the Smart Tabs. And on here, we can actually see that there is one document associated with this ticket, which is actually right here, but you can also see it from right here. Now, the interesting thing with that is you can keep track of different things going on, of different files being sent back and forth in different ways. Let's go back to that. And that's another ticket that was open. And again, once you save, it starts working with the SLAs, it leaves the priority, it assigns a deadline, and it gives you most of the information you're going to need to start working on that ticket. Now, what was the other one? Ticket number 15, I believe. Here it is. So here's a test web, ticket number 15. So you can see here, you can see the number of the ticket. And you can see that this was also already assigned to someone. Okay. Now this one had more information, and you can see the different types of behaviors that we had. Now, another cool feature that we can point out with all of these tickets, and going back here to these stages and how they work and how they help us out, is some of these can be set up to have automated responses. And I'm going to have to log back in as the administrator to show you that. I think I can do it easily here. Give me 1 second. Oh, that's not the one, sorry. Let's see where I have that one. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, so out of the bat, once I log back in as the administrator, there's a whole bunch of other options the administrator has that the regular users don't have. So this is just a good example of showing you guys how we have restrictions set up on different types of users. So let's go back into Helpdesk. Let's go back into the tickets. And here where we can see the stages, there's a pretty cool option with the stages where we can go into a stage, and the stages can have automated email templates or email answers. So I can edit that too. So each stage, not only can I create more stages, I can assign them to different teams. I can assign different automated emails that can be sent. So what's going to happen is once a ticket reaches that stage, it's going to automatically send an email out with the email that we already inserted into that, or that we already have from the customer. And it's going to let them know how things are going. Okay. So I'm just going to show you how that actually works and how interactive that can be. Okay, so let's take a look at my customer's email. Now, first of all, since there were different things that happened, you can see that there is different emails that we started to receive. One of the tickets that were opened, the number 16, once it was assigned to someone, and remember we had that as an automated action, it says, Dear Danny, your request item incomplete has been received and being reviewed. So that's cool. So that way our customer can immediately know that we're taking care of it. And here's number 17, another example of how we did it. And again, it's showing us that it's being looked into. So let's look at ticket number 17. And let's move that along a bit. So where's ticket 17? Here it is, issues with my book. So ticket 17, we can move it along the process. We can do it through here if you want to, or we can go back and we can actually drag and drop, which is a powerful tool also, just so we can drag it along the flow or the different stages that we have. We can also, in this case, if we need approval from our manager or our supervisor before we do that, we actually have an option here that's called the Kanban State, in which we can assign different things that are going on for internal usage. If that is blocked, we need help with that, or if it's ready to move to the next stage. And if we have a supervisor in charge of moving this along, he can then have an indicator that he would have to move this along. So I'm going to mark this as ready to be moved on to the next stage. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to drag it along. Okay. Now, for this step, we don't have an automated response, but for solve, we do. So what we're going to do is, once we've solved this issue, an issue with my book that we have on ticket number 17, we're going to drag it along to solved, and there you go. Now I'm going to give it a second, and I'm going to explain some other things, and then I'm going to go back to the email. We're going to see what happened. I can go into there. Now let's look for 17. Here it is. Okay, so let's say it's resolved. Maybe now that I have it resolved, I also want to schedule an activity. So you're going to see here that I might want to go ahead and call my customer. Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow, maybe a week from now, maybe on Friday. I can put the date, and I can put follow up. Make sure ticket was resolved. Now what I'm going to do with that, and I can schedule that, is now I'm going to have a reminder that even though this was solved, I'm going to get reminded that within 3 days, I'm going to reach out to that customer and find out if on his end, he's satisfied with that resolution. Another cool thing about this feature is I have the possibility to look at these activities right here. So there is a shortcut, there is a way for me to find out what's going on, what activities I have pending, or I have in the future. So now that I added that, since that is something that's going to be due in the next 3 days, it's actually a future activity. So I can go into that, and that can help me as a reminder to make sure I'm following up with those activities. So now that we did that, in the meantime, let's look at our customer's email. Let's see what he received in response to my resolution. There you go. You see that? Hello, Danny. Can you take a moment to rate our service related to the ticket number? So here, since it's already closed, now we give our customer the option to go ahead and rate us. So yeah, that was pretty quick. So I'll say I was satisfied. And they can even leave a text saying this guy was great. And they can send us the feedback. There you go. So now, okay, so now that we have that done, we can go ahead and we can go back into here. Now we've already closed that ticket. Very simple. We follow up. We have feedback from our customer. We have our ticket closed. We have a follow-up action done. And we also have different approaches we can take to how we want to manage this after, okay? Another important thing to point out is if we wanted to interact internally, or we wanted to have more interactions with this customer, we wanted to respond to this customer, we wanted to send them a resolution or ask them for more information, we actually have the possibility to go ahead and send them an email here. Through here, we can go ahead and respond to the ticket he originally had, or we can follow up. If the scheduled activity is a call, but if it was an email, we can go ahead and say, hi, just wanted to follow up and check if everything is okay. At this point, once I send that, that's going to go to everyone that's attached to this ticket as a follower. Now, by default, Odoo is going to add whomever sent us the ticket But you can also add other people. Maybe the customer has an alternate email. Maybe you want to add another department within the company itself. So there's different ways to interact with this. And that makes it very versatile. So that's a basic ticket, basic functionality, automated actions, automated emails, scheduled activities. So there's, aside from that, there's a whole slew of things you can do, personalizing all these things, just to make your customer satisfaction as efficient as possible, your customer support team, give them as much feedback as possible to have all the information you want. As a manager, and probably the last thing I'm going to go into before we move on to questions, if you guys have any, is I'm going to move into the reporting section of this. Now, the reporting is something I'm going to have available only to my administrator in this case, and you can modify that based on your user profiles and on what permissions they have. But you can go into reporting, and in the reporting section, you're going to have a huge amount of things that you can do. By default, you're going to see some graphs that are going to give you some basic information based on how many tickets were received or on what stages they are. So it says customer care, new tickets, solved tickets, and in progress tickets. That's pretty cool, and that's already useful in itself. But if you want to take it to the next level, you can actually go into here and you can get a table, a dynamic table, you would say, where you can actually modify the information you're getting, and you can customize this a lot. So for a manager, this is a very, very powerful tool where they can go ahead and play around with the information that we're getting based on all the tickets that are being resolved on a daily basis. So here I already have one predetermined and set up where I can see different types of tickets, and I can see how many each one of my guys or each one of my team members have had assigned in August. Now, I can go ahead and modify that even more. You can see that we have a large slew of options where you can show them different types of points of view, different types of information you might want to use, give them feedback. If you have different KPIs and different metrics to measure how they're performing, you can go ahead and add that here, and that way you have it all centralized. You can even export this if that's what you want to do, but I think this probably would be sufficient to go ahead and give feedback. You can also go ahead, and I already did this in this one, I can go ahead and just say, let's say customer. And if I wanted to, if you want to personalize this even more, you can even save this. I can save this search. I can give it a name. I can say custom. I can make it the default view. That means the default report I'm going to get when I get into here. I can share that with all users. You can do a whole bunch of things with this, and it makes it very powerful and very convenient. Or you can just save it as one of your favorites. And remember, this one's called custom. So if I go into favorites, I have the help desk ticket analysis, or I have custom. And that gives you all those options and all that information in the tip of your fingers so that your manager can keep on working with your team. And that basically covers all the basic stuff we can do with Helpdesk, all the basic integration, but there's a lot more stuff you can do. If you play around with all this configuration, there's almost a limitless amount of things you can do with it, and you can adapt it very well to most of your needs. But I mean, I think it's just a great tool, and if you take advantage of it, it can really add value to your company. So that's the end for my demonstration today. But again, if you have any questions, we're going to address some of them right now, or also you can reach out to me at dhe@odoo.com. Thank you, guys.
Ooh, thank you, Danny, for a very thorough presentation on Odoo's Helpdesk. Since it does look like we are running out of time, I don't believe, and also since actually able to answer our questions, I don't think we'll be able to get to them today. But in the meantime, Danny, why don't you go ahead and show us one more time your contact information?
Sure. So my contact is dhe@odoo.com. Feel free to shoot me an email whenever you'd like, and I'll be more than glad to assist you in any way I can. And especially if it's regarding this topic, we can show it. The sky's the limit.
Exactly. Well, then that's going to wrap it up for us here for Odoo Live. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget, if you came in late or would like to watch this webinar again, you only have to click on the link that you're using to watch us right now and watch it anytime at your leisure, day or night, whenever is convenient for you. Also, we are still in the midst of our Odoo 12 tour, so we have events happening all around the country and here and all around the world, in fact. And you can find more information and find the event that is closest to you at odoo.com/events. And finally, I would also like to remind everyone that we are having our first ever Odoo experience here in the United States. It is known as Odoo Connect. And to get more information on that particular event, you can go to odoo.com/connect. That is happening in November, the first full week in November. So before we go, Danny, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, as always, it's a pleasure to help you guys. Thank you all for joining us today, and I hope to hear from you very soon.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We will see you all next time. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Have a good one, guys.